Welcome to the Middleware Tech YouTube channel. In this series, you'll learn about dependency injection for collection. Let's get started.
Java, and that is defined under util package. And in the collection classes, under collection generally provide storage for three major type of data: list type data, set type data, and map type data. And for them, we have separate interface and lots of classes under those interfaces. To store set type, list type data, we have list interface, and we have some of the classes under list interface like array list, vector, linked list. To store set type data, we have interface called set, and lots of classes under set like hasset, reset, linked hasset. As well as to store map type of data, we have map interface and some of the classes under map interface like has map, tree map, linked has map, that is used to store key value pair map type data. So these are part of collection framework. Now here what we'll do is that we'll understand that how IOC container is going to implement dependency injection for your collection type data. How IOC container is going to implement dependency injection for your collection type data, right? So that is the focus here, right? Okay. So as I told you that we have a list of data, we have a set of data, we have map of data. Okay. So list of data means so when we talk about list of data means like list of shopping items. So list of shopping items, you're getting number one, we want to buy this, number two, I want to buy this, right? That means list of elements always be an ordered, right? And if I have written a shopping list, then each and every element I will number, right? Number one, I want to buy this. Number two, I want to buy this. Number three, I want to buy this. That means elements will be ordered, and it can have duplicate element. So can have duplicate element, that means non-unique. So as for example, you can take list of email IDs. Okay, list of email IDs. Similarly, set of elements means you can think about set of mangoes. So set of mangoes you cannot identify with a number, right? Mango number one, mango number two. So set of elements is always unordered. And each and every mango size, if you go to the micro level, you'll find unique. So you can write unique set of elements. Similarly, map of element is that you always defined as a key value pair. Two set of element we can define using a map. Map is always defined as a key value pair. Like as for example, each and every student has some reference. Okay, similarly, if I'm going to take a particular loan, then I should have a particular reference. So that is, for me, two set of element is going to map. So you can define it as a relationship between key and value, right? As you know. Now, how I can implement, how IOC container can implement dependency injection for collection, right? So let's take an example. Let's take an example for student details. Let me talk about all this using a single class. So let's take an example for a student. So in the student class, I'm going to define here three instance variable. For, let's see, student class has its own instance variable called int sid. Okay, it's its own instance variable. You can make it as a private, and you can make it as an private string name, student name. So the student class, we have two instance variables. This is my Pojo class, that is student.java. Student.java. So I should have I should have the file spring.xml. Spring.xml. So in the spring.xml, I have the root element called bin. So inside the bins, I should have element called bin. Okay. Here inside the bin, I am going to get a student class object. ID equal to student stu and class equal to, you can write student. That's it. So this is my configuration file, spring.xml. So the student class that I have written, and the IOC container can create an object of the student class based on how we have given. If you want IOC container to use if you want IOC container to use constructor injection, then you have to provide the constructor for these two attributes. You want IOC container to use setter injection, then you have to provide property element. So assume you want IOC container to do constructor injection. So you have to provide the constructor argument here. You have to provide one constructor here. You have to provide one constructor. And to implement constructor injection by the IOC container, what you have to do is that you have to provide a constructor argument element. Constructor what you write? Constructor org. Value equal to, provide the value SID as assume 300. Similarly, you can provide Control C. can make it name Srini. So you can implement constructor injection for these two attribute, SID and name. And it will come like this. Or if you don't want to make it like this, you can define the value attribute inside the argument also. If you don't know, I don't want to define it like this. Control X. Let's see, this is a constructor argument. And here you can close the constructor argument. Constructor argument, right? Starting the element, then you should close it, and here you can provide the value. That also you can define like this. Value, just to make it something like this, right? So same things you can do for name also. Same things you can do for name. Control V. Fine. Now here, what we talk about is that this is a simple class, right? It's a simple Pojo class, student.java, and this Pojo class, student.java, what you have done is that you have provided, you have written that constructor injection. So based on the element that you have provided inside the string.xml file, it will implement the constructor injection for your student.java file or student.java class. That is, but you have not implemented any collection here. Now let's add some collection framework classes. Oh, sorry, for collection let's add some of the some of the object for collection. So to add the collection object, what I can do, let me do it in actual program, because here space is taking slight more. Let's do it in a specific program itself. So do one thing, create, close all the file, right click, close all, create one Spring IOC collection injection. So right click, new Java project, right here, Spring IOC collection injection. Okay, how it will work for the collection. Fine, so let's move next and finish. Now, as you know that we have to add all the jars, add external jars. Okay, and then apply. Then what we have to do is that we have to create all the Pojo classes. So create one class, right click, new class, name of the class, let's see, it is in the pp package. Now inside the pp package, you can create the class student. Fine. The student class already have given to instance variable. Control C. So Control V. So what you want for this instance variable, you want to implement constructor injection. So if I want to implement constructor injection, so right click source, generate constructor using field, generate. Right click source, generate constructor using field. I should provide default constructor also in the class. Right click, source, format. That's it. So this is a student class. This is a simple student class. Correct. Okay. Now, so for the student class, if I want to implement container to use dependency injection, so I should put configuration file. So use the file as spring.xml. Finish. In the spring.xml, you can copy the grammar from some other location, or you can go and select the grammar, define in the bins, factory XML. Here we will get the grammar. So copy it from here, Control C, Control V. Bins, fine. So for the student class, as you know, the properties that we have given, and for the student class, if I want to implement constructor injection, so what I can do is that you can do this, Control C, Control V. Right click, source format. So bin ID equal to student, class equal to student. So it is defined inside the PP package. And you're starting an element, then you're closing an element. Correct? You can save this. Okay, I'll check it. Where is the problem? Bin ID equal to student, class equal to pp dot this. Should not give any error. Okay, we'll resolve it. Now, inside the student class, let me check if I have saved the grammar properly. Control C. Control V. So if I'm starting a bin element, ID equal to student, class equal to pp dot student, and then I'm closing that bin element. Constructor argument, opening, close. Constructor argument, opening, close.
I guess it should be constructor arg, right? It should not be constructor org. It should be arg.
Okay, let me check. Just yes. Just if you write here constructor arg, yes. So if you have to just write this, you can use this value, Control X, tab Control V. Similarly, I can do the same thing for the second one. Control C, Control V, and make a particular name as Srini. Fine. Now this is our configuration file. Now there is no issues, same like as we talked about earlier. IOC container can inject, can initialize student class object, or can implement constructor injection because you have given the constructor inside the student class. Fine. Now I'm talking about some collections like list type, set type, and map type object. Okay, so let's take a list type object. Let's take a list type object. I want to take list of string type. Okay, list of string you can define as take it for student related, right? Take it a list of emails for the time being for student related. List of emails define, or for set type of object you can define set type object. set of string. So set of set type object you can define as phone. Okay, and you can define some map type object like one student should have one reference, like this way. If we talk about, then you can make it as reference map type object, map uh, string comma string. Okay, so you can define as reference like this way. I have created three collection type object. I have created three collection type object. Fine. So if you want to import it, try to use util. For set also you have to use util. You are using collection framework of Java. So we have created like this. Now the question is that how IOC container will inject these values: set type, list type, and map type. How you want IOC container to inject these values? That is our focus here, right? So what I want to do is that take this set type and list type and set type in the constructor itself, and this map type I want to do separately. Okay, so we have created a constructor like, should just do one thing, delete it. And I want to implement constructor injection, right click source, it depends on you how you want to implement. SID, name, email, and phone I want to do for this for constructor injection. Okay, see here we have, so in the constructor injection we have used list and set, correct? So if I do like this, then here this constructor is already done. Now I have to provide another two element. One is your list type, right? Another is for your set type, correct? Now what type of injection it is? Constructor injection. So list type for constructor injection, set type for constructor injection. So constructor injection, right? So constructor injection means what? You have to use constructor argument. Yes. Now constructor argument for list type, correct? So you will find somewhere list is there. Yes, list. So list of emails. So provide some email ID. Value. .com, like this way you can add some email ID. Control C. Right? Okay. Now here in this constructor argument, we have used list of elements. Now I have to create another one constructor argument called set. So if I want to create constructor argument for set, so you can create here set constructor argument tab set. Now inside the set I have to use value. So set of phone number you are using, right? So you can use some phone number. Like this way you can use set of phone numbers. So what we have done, if you see in this example, we have implemented dependency injection related command for your list type and set type. Correct? Right? Now what I want is that I want to implement map type. Okay. So map type object is a reference. Now for map type, what I want is that I want to do setter injection for map type. Okay, I want to do setter injection for map type. So if I want to do setter injection for map type, that means you have to create getters and setters. Right click source, generate getters and setters for whom? For reference map type. Okay. So if this is, that means I have to set property element for map type. Map type is a reference. So how I'm going to provide the property element? Go to spring.xml. Here I have to provide map type. So this is still here constructor injection is done. So for reference, I have to use property. So you can use property name equal to reference. Enter tab. Now here you can use map, right? So map means I have to talk about key value pair. So key value pair you can take as a team have a particular player, okay, or classroom has a student, like this way you can define. So here you can see the element entry will come. So entry have some attribute called key equal to take the key as team1. Okay, if the key is a team1, then it should have some value equal to, assume any particular value player is p1. So like this way I can store some key value pair. So assume last two, this is team 5 and this is team 9. So here we have player 2, here we have player 6, some 5, something like that. So if you see here for this map type, we have defined here map. So IOC container will parse this file. That's it. IOC container will parse this file where you have defined set type, list type, and map type. No, I want to show some. I want to define some secondary type association also. So if you think that no, I want to define mixing up secondary type association also here, then you can take some other class called employee address, something like that, or student address. One student have one address, right? So I'll come into that. Let me just complete this part first. Let me check whether this tree collection is working or not. So this is my student class is ready. Spring.xml is fine. Now I have to, I should always create it inside a separate package called resources. Inside the resources, I should create a spring.xml. You can save this and you can create a client.java. Right click, new class. Class name is client.java, and inside this class name client.java, what I want to do is like I have to create an object of application context. Application context AC equal to class path XML application context, and here you have to provide the source called resources slash spring.xml. That's it. Now you have to load this application context. You have to load class path XML application context. Sorry, you should not do something wrong. We have to check. We have to use a new class path XML application context. So you have to import this. Check class path XML application context. So we have loaded, this loading phase is done. We have loaded that configuration file, spring.xml. Now what I want, I should get the student class object. I should get the student class object, then only I can get the collection details. Right. So I will get a student class object. Now do one thing in the student class, put one right click source, put one to string, you know, so all the details will be here. So you can write it AC dot get bin, AC dot get bin, and just provide your bin name. What the bin name? Bin name is STU. So bin name is STU. Fine. Now here you have to write student obj equal to ac.getBin. Now when you will get this bin, what you have to do is that you have to typecast with the student, save it. Right. Now here when you get the student object, that means IC container already injected all the collection related details inside the student object, right? So how I can get all the details? Just you have to print, just print it, because already I've given to a string implementation inside the class, right? So just you have to print system dot out dot println. Just you have to print it obj. Just print this one. Just save it. Right click, run as Java application. Yes. Now if you see here, IC container injected all the list type, set type, and map type details inside the student object. That's why when you print that student object, all the details is available. Correct. So it's working, right? It's a very good example how IC containers injecting list type, set type, and map type. Now, if you want to merge this example, already we have talked about secondary type. No, I want to implement the secondary type example also here, that one student should have address. One student should have one address, or one student should have many address, if you want to think like that. Then you can create another one class here, call address class, right click new class, address class. So inside the address class, you can define here two instance variable, private string city. Assume I have two instance variable, private string state. Okay, so I have two instance variable inside the address class, city and state. Simple address class, and I want to implement getters and setters for them. Then right click source, generate getters and setters, select all and generate. That's it, right click source format. So this is my address class. Now what I want is that I want IUC container to implement a secondary type injection. Correct? So in that case, what I have to do, I have to get an object of address inside the student that we have done last time, right? So you have to get an object of address inside the student. How? Address. Yes. Now we should provide some getters and setters for this. Right click source, getters and setters for address. That's it. We got. This is the first task. And the second task is that we have to add here. We have to provide. We have to get an object of address class. Here we have to provide. We have to get an object of address class. So create an object of address class here. Bin ID equal to AOBJ address object class equal to address. The address is defined in the PP package pp dot address. So this address class object we have created inside this, right? Okay. Now address class we have two instance variables. So for that we have to use property name equal to city. You can use value equal to some value, Bangalore, and you can use another one property, control C, control V, city, and then you can use another property called state. And the corresponding value for this should be like this. So if you see in this example, you have created an address class object. So it's a normal one, right? Now what we have to do, we have to inject. We want container to inject address class object inside the student class. We want container to inject address class object inside the container class. So what I can do, just you have to add one settings here as you have done last time. Just you have to add one settings here, that property name address. What is the name you have created here in the student class? Address, right? So this name property name equal to address, and just add one attribute called reference. We can use local equal to add. So what we have done here is that, what is the add? Because what is the address class object here? AOBJ. So you can write add. So this address object I am going to inject, or IOC container is going to inject inside your student class object. So automatically when you get the student class object, you will get the address details also, right? So what you have to do is that you have to just change the toString implementation inside the student class. Where the toString, this toString you have to just change, delete, right click source, generate toString. That's it. I don't need this. If I get address, I should get all this. ID, email. Where is reference? Why not reference? You have selected because reference is an map object, right? So right click source, generate toString. So I should get all the details. Since IOC container is going to inject the address object inside the student, so I can get the student address also. I should get student address also inside the student object, because IOC container is going to inject the address object inside the student. Let me check it is working or not. Right click, run as Java application. Oh, error. So let me check what is the error. Property address stu being parent is required reference element. Configuration problem, bean or parent required reference element in spring.xml file property address. So here when you're using this bean add, now property name equal to address. Now when you're going to remove /address, we have added. I think it should work. Reference equal to or last time, if you see the example that we have done in the last example, what we have done in the last example, that is for secondary injection. If you see the same thing in the secondary injection, what we have done, we have used here property name and reference that we have injected in the bin. Like this we have done, right? Property name and the reference. So same things only we are doing here. Property name and reference. Same things we are doing here. Property name is address and reference equal to add. Yeah, same thing only we are doing. It should work. Save it. Client. Right click, run as Java application. Yes, it is working. And if you see here, we can get the address details also. Okay, for address, it is not giving the address details. Why? Because we have not given, we have not provided the toString for the address. So go to the address class and provide the toString. Right click source, generate toString implementation. So toString is provided for the address class. Now it will work. Right click, run as Java application. So if you see here, we can get the address details also this time. Why? Because IOC container have injected address inside your student object. That's where you can get. So this is a very good example. And in this example, what you find is that how a collection object can be injected by IOC container inside a POJO. Correct?